Hi everyone, I'm Tucker Diedrich here at the Wausau Curling Center. We're so excited for you to be here for the Learn to Curl event, but before we get on the ice, we're going to go through some terminology, some safety, and some of the technique you'll be seeing here today on the ice.
For the ice, make sure you wipe down your feet on the scrubbers here. We also have the boot boy. That'll also help get some of that as well.
These are the hacks. This is what you're going to push out of when you are curling. If you're right-handed, you're going to put your right foot in the hack, and if you're left-handed, you're going to put your left foot in the hack. This is the house. This is what we're trying to throw into when we are curling. The object of the game is to get your stones as close to the middle or the pin as possible before your opponent's closest stones. The rings themselves are just there to help understand which rock is closer to the middle. There's no points that designate or anything like that. It's just to help guide which stop rocks are. That goes through the middle of the house that is known as the tee line. This is where your skip is going to stand when they're calling their shots. And in general, when we are delivering a stone when we're just starting out, it's kind of a good rule of thumb that if you're releasing the stone right around the tee line, you're going to be in good shape for your shot. All right, this is the hog line. The hog line serves two purposes. Number one, when you're delivering your stone, you must release the stone before crossing this line. Your body can go across this line, but your stone must be released before reaching this line. On the other end of the ice, your stone must cross that line completely, otherwise it is removed from play. Safety is very important when you're out on the ice. You're gonna have a slider underneath your foot. Now, most people who curl on a regular basis, they'll have a slider that looks like this. It's already on their shoe, but for everyone else, they're gonna have a slider that they will slip onto their shoe. Now, the number one rule when stepping onto the ice is that you always wanna step onto the ice with your non-slider foot first. A big thing people worry about when they curl for the first time is slipping on the ice, which makes sense. Ice is slippery, but don't worry. Most of the time when we are falling, we're already pretty close to the ice after we've delivered a stone. So the big thing to keep in mind is that after you're done delivering your stone, just slowly pull yourself back up to standing and slowly walk back off the ice. If you can't be in the traditional curler's pose, we do offer stick curling. We can teach you how to do that. We also have helmets, we have knee pads, just for some added protection as well. Now, the other great thing about the Wausau Curling Center is we are fitted for wheelchair curling as well. So if you are in a wheelchair and would like to try curling, we are set up for you as well. So the first step is to get comfortable being in the curler's pose. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up to the board and we're going to get ourselves into a shoulder width position. We're going to come down to the ice, and then all we're going to do is we're just going to bring our back leg back so that we have a nice straight leg and the shoelaces are on the ground. Let me know when you're ready. The next step we're going to do is stepping onto the ice and getting into the hack. So we're going to step onto the ice with our non-slider foot first, and then we're going to slowly make our way towards the hack. We can brace ourselves on the hack with our slider foot so we can move our non-slider foot into the hack. The arch of your foot should fit comfortably into the hack. We're then going to squat down to the rock and the stabilizer, and we want to have our slider foot heel right in front of the toe of our foot in the hack. After we've done that, we're going to stand up, we're going to come out of the hack, and then we're going to go back to the board for the next person. For our next step, we're going to do everything we just did in step 2 first. We're going to slide over to the hack, brace ourselves against the hack, put our foot in the hack. We're going to crouch down, and then from this position, all we're going to do is push with our back leg forward. And all we're trying to do is get to the tee line, and we're going to end up in the curler's pose that we worked on in step 1. While we're doing this, we want to have the stone, our foot, and our stabilizer all in a line. Here, to get that push, is we're just trying to get our shoelaces to flop over onto the ice. Now we're going to try to put everything together so we can get the rock down the ice a little bit further. We're still going to come up to the hack. We're going to get ourselves in position. Heel is right in front of our toe. This time, what we're going to do is we're going to press forward a little bit. We're going to bring our hips back and up, and then we're going to push forward in the same motion like we did in step 3, where we flop our shoelaces down onto the ice. Now when we're delivering the stone, we're going to start the rock in one of 2 positions. We're either going to have it at this 10 o'clock position, where the handle is pointed at 10 o'clock, or it'll be positioned at 2 o'clock. Now depending on where your skip is standing and what direction they would like the rock to curl, we're going to set up the stone in that position. As we're delivering the stone, we're going to come through and we're going to turn and release it as we go down the ice. Your skip is going to call the shot. They're going to be on one side of the ice and they're going to indicate where they would like the rock to go. Most of the time, they're going to be on either the far left side or over here on the far right side. And they're going to be always pointing towards the middle. They would like the rock to start out coming towards them and curl towards the middle. So when we're in the hack, we have to make sure that we are lined up with where our skip is standing and making sure that the handle is going to turn in the direction that they are indicating. When we're lining up our shot, we want to make sure that our shoulders are square to where our skip is standing. When we get in the hack, we want to make sure that our toes are also pointing towards where our skip is standing. Now, most of the time, you're not going to throw a rock right down the middle. So when you're delivering your stone, a good rule of thumb is to try to make sure that you're either on the right side of the center line or on the left side of the center line, depending on where your skip is standing. Our skip is lined up on the right side of the ice, so I'm going to square my shoulders. I'm going to point my toes towards where my skip is. I'm going to have the handle turned at 2 o'clock because he wants me to put it in the middle. And then I'm going to push out towards my skip, and I want to try to end up on the right side of this center line. Everything else stays the same. We do a push out, bring our hips back and up, and then we come through and turn and release. The only time we have a slider on our foot is when we're delivering a stone. When we're sweeping, we want to make sure that we have our gripper or we've taken our slider off our shoe. When it comes to sweeping, the first thing we want to do is make sure our hands are in the right position. When we're sweeping, we want to make sure that our hands are dividing this broom into 3 equal parts. That way, when we're pushing down, we have the proper pressure we need for the sweep. When our teammate is throwing a rock, we are going to stand here at the intersection of the sideline and the tee line. As the rock is coming down the ice, we're going to walk and meet it in the middle. We want to make sure that we're always walking forward when we're sweeping. We want to make sure that our broom is between ourselves and the house that we're walking towards. As the rock is going down the ice, we want to make sure that we're staying in front of the rock and sweeping downward for that sweep. The reason we sweep is so that we can get more curl on the rock or to keep it straight. So if the rock is going really fast down the ice, don't try to keep up with it. Your sweeping isn't going to do anything to help that rock. Main thing is to stay safe, walk with a controlled pace, and if the rock gets away from you, don't try to chase after it. Thank you so much for coming to the Wausau Curling Center and learning how to curl today. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to learn something new. We hope you have fun, and we hope to see you back here very soon.